Hey y'all, it's Cindy Cobb and I'm with Around the Town in the South, and we want to thank you for joining us today. I'm actually sitting with another one of my favorite people in Jackson, Mississippi, Mr. Jeff Good. And the reason is because I've watched Jeff. When I moved home in 2009, I met Jeff here through Paula Strange. I came here one afternoon for happy hour and
little Dr. Strange.
Fell in love with the place and frequented quite often. And I had a request. I don't even know if you remember this. The following year I was doing a big party and I needed a bunch of liquor bottles.
Yes, you did.
And I called Jeff. I said, Jeff, do you think you can save me some liquor bottles? I'm thinking like 20. Needless to say, I had about 80, which was great. I still have them. I painted them. I used them as my event on the table. And, you know, you're so accommodating. And the way you love people is wonderful. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Cindy. I appreciate it.
We're going to talk a little bit about your life and a little bit about how you got to Jackson.
Okay.
But first off, we are sitting in his restaurant, Bravo. And they did a renovation. Was it 2 years ago?
It was a year ago, September. So it was September of 2017.
And the mural behind the wall is the only thing that stayed.
Yep.
So you want to tell us about this?
Yeah, so many of our guests that dine with us, they know that this is a Lynn Green route. So Lynn Green was a very whimsical, almost, she was a very short, very lively young lady, almost like a leprechaun.
Oh, wow.
She was just an amazing character and bigger than life. And came from a multiple generation of artists in her family, and she had a style that is really creative. And we approached her with the idea of doing a mural, and she'd never done one. This is the only one in the world, and it spans 30 feet. It's a 90-degree turn here, and it's a Tuscan landscape. So the idea is we really want to capture, since we're opening Bravo Italian Restaurant and Bar, we want to create this idea of an Italian landscape and do it very whimsically and do it very, very, very cleverly. And there's a Where's Waldo game in here. So Dan is in the portrait. My wife Debbie and I are in the portrait. And Dan's younger brother David, who's one of our original partners, he's in the portrait. And our original sous chef is in the portrait as well. So there's 4 little hiding things and a dog. So there's...
It's in this mural?
It's in this mural.
So after we get through, I will be trying to find that. I'm going to do a vlog on that when we get through, because this is absolutely beautiful.
It's almost like coffee news. You got to find the coffee cup.
It absolutely
there it is.
That's really funny. Did you know that I actually launched one of those in Alabama?
I had no idea, but I don't doubt that.
And when I moved home, I had to sell it because Johnny Webb already had it, but I love the coffee.
So my twin girls, when they were younger, they would, if we went into a place they saw one, they would have a little game where they would go, okay, 1, 2, 3, go, and they would both grab at the same time, and then it was a race to see who found the coffee cup first.
And then did you turn the name into win the $25?
You know, I don't know that they ever did that.
That's the fun part.
So there you go.
Winning's the fun part. That is a small world.
Yeah, it is. It
Love
is. Well,
that.
you're an amazing entrepreneurial spirit as well. So, you know, all Dan and I have tried to do since we opened this restaurant some 25 years ago was to create an opportunity for ourselves. You know, I moved here from Salt Lake City, Utah. I was a stranger in a strange land my senior year of high school.
Oh, wow.
I went to Murrah High. So I'm coming from the West Coast and from a community that was predominantly pretty much monolithic. It was a heavily LDS community,
Right.
very, very white. And I moved to the Deep South, going to public schools, and I had my first experience meeting African American population in mass, meeting the Southern culture in mass. I was just really, I looked like Jeff Spicoli out of Fast Times at Ridgeland High. It was difficult for me to assimilate, and Dan befriended me early and really kind of helped me through that senior year. And I started working when I was 13. I worked out of necessity that if I, you know, my dad was a college administrator, but my mom did not work, and so, you know, to have money to if I want to have a car or any clothes or something like that, I've always worked.
Right.
So coming to Jackson and starting at Murrah and then going over to Millsaps and kind of being around a lot of privileged kids that you know, my story was different. I would finish class and go off to work. Everything was always a difficult assimilation for me. It was one shock and then another shock and another shock, and it really took quite some time for me to grow up. And I will say that my business partner Dan has been a big part of that, but the biggest part of that's my wife. I met her at Millsaps, and after a tumultuous series of attempts to get her to like me, we ended up getting married out of college. And Debbie is the love of my life and a real anchor, and has been incredibly generous with me throughout the twists and turns I've taken with her, because I graduated and I worked for a large computer company selling large computers to factories. And
Now, were you in this area
in
doing
Jackson,
that?
yeah, we
Okay.
stayed. So Debbie's from Memphis, and my parents, my dad retired, moved up to Seattle, so we just chose Jackson. We were comfortable here.
Right.
And so I was doing the job, and Debbie was a high school Latin teacher. And after 6 years of being fairly successful at what I was doing, my company got bought out. They were going to close my division, close the Jackson office. I started interviewing for jobs. I'm the only person in the world I know that couldn't get a job with SkyTel in the middle 90s. Who knows why? And I got frustrated one night and called my best friend on the phone and said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to lose my job here. I can't seem to find something that makes sense. He was an economics major in college that was planning on going to law school and took a year off to study for the LSAT. He moved to San Francisco. He had gone to school in Southern California. He hated studying for the LSAT. He was working for as a paralegal law firm. He hated it. He came home at December during the break and told his parents he wanted to go to culinary school. So he became a chef.
Oh, wow.
So he enrolled in California Culinary Academy, became a chef, started working in restaurants. So when I called him on the phone in 1992, he too was a little frustrated. He was in his fourth restaurant, wasn't quite sure where his career was going. And so the phone got quiet, and almost at the same time we said, maybe we should think about going into business together like we did when we were kids. And that's where the idea for Bravo came up.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was from that moment, we didn't have any money, and Dan wasn't going to move home from San Francisco, so we went on this journey of how to do this, and we put together what we thought was a pretty expansive business plan. It was 50 pages, and it explained the concept well. And I met with a banker who's a friend of mine from college, and we talked about it, and I gave him all the ideas. We've got this great restaurant. It's going to be called Bravo. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to have a mural. It's going to be great.
He had the vision.
Had the vision early. How do we need about $500,000, we think. How do we borrow $500,000?
Wow.
And, in a nutshell, he said to me, Jeff, we can loan you $500,000 tomorrow if you have $500,000 in the bank.
Oh, my.
So, this idea that, I talk to a lot of college business students. I kind of make the circuit between JSU and Belhaven and Mississippi College and Millsaps. And I talk about this experience about starting a business. And one of the things I like to do with the kids is really focus in on this, that the free enterprise system and the capitalist system really is an amazing engine for the ability for upward mobility. But if you don't have access to that first rung, if you don't have the ability, the agency or the access to be able to actually get onto the ladder, start growing, it is maddening. And we didn't have any money, and we didn't have any money in the bank to be able to borrow against. Didn't have any collateral, didn't have anybody who co-signed with us. So most people would stop at that point, but we are a little different. We're full of a lot of grit. We're going to get it done. I fell back and I talked to a lot of people that were in business, and I asked them how they funded, what funding mechanisms. And I came across a lot of folks that had sold shares of stock to investors. So I researched that, found out what you had to do legally to do that. It's called Reg D in the SEC private placement offering rules. And so we followed that guideline. Our business plan became 250 pages.
Oh, wow.
Which we wrote all of ourselves. We were, prolific. And I got to know that restaurant absolutely intimately. I knew every fork, knife, and spoon in the concept. And so then I went to business in selling our concept. So I prospected 750 people, either on the phone or via telephone or in person. We fed 250 people at my house. So Debbie and I lived in this little home on Euclid Avenue in Belhaven. So every Tuesday or Thursday, I was constantly calling people and trying to focus them. Come, you want to talk about a restaurant? You're interested? Please come to my house for dinner. We'll show you what we're doing. So I get these little dinner parties of 10 to 12, and we do a little buffet of the style of food we were going to do: bruschetta, polenta, some pizzas, not wood fire, they're coming out of the KitchenAid oven, risotto or pasta, good. Just sharing that concept. Yeah. And then some wine, and so we'd share the story, sit them on the sofa, tell them the business plan, and out of 750 people prospected, 250 people fed. Debbie was a gem letting these people come through our house.
She sure was.
I was talking to a group of kids from Obama Elementary this weekend about food policy and food justice, and I was telling a little bit of the story, and one little girl looked at me, she said, "Your bathroom must have really been used hard."
Kids.
Who would have thought?
Kids.
And we got 44 people to invest $10,000 apiece. And those investors, to this day, that was 1993 that we were doing this. We opened April of '94, and right now, in the beginning of 2019, every one of those investors are still partners with us, and they brought us to the dance. We're very blessed that they believed in a computer salesman that was losing his job and a chef that lived in San Francisco about what we were trying to do. So that's the backstory, and so as part of that, we everything we've done is a little different. We wanted to do this mural.
And I love it. And I love his story, the inspiration story. Most of us aren't born with a silver spoon. We don't know. We have ideas, and we don't know how to bring them forthcoming.
Right.
I love the way that you just, and having your wife too, you maneuver through that journey. And I'm sure you had a lot of roadblocks.
Oh, there was a roadblock every day. I mean, and I think the thing is, if you have self-confidence and you have supportive structure, I think you can overcome a barrier.
And a passion.
And you have to get a passion. And some competence too. So I'm just a salesman. I'm just a salesman. In any project I've ever done that we've been successful at, there have been content experts that I've worked with that have been able to take that. I just simply amplify what other people are able to vision. And I'm a pretty quick study, so I think I can start the narrative, and I can communicate it in a way because I'm very good with communication in a way that the recipient can understand. So I want to, if I can riff off this real quick.
Sure.
You and I were talking the other day about this work we're doing in the nonprofit world, and the big thing we're doing, and it's kind of clear and present because we have a big event today, is our Refill Cafe work. And I think this because of what you just said about barriers and about how do you overcome them. I think a lot of things are happening in our world today, and particularly here in the Deep South and in Jackson. A lot of folks are sidelined, so they're disenfranchised from the ability to move forward, and there are a number of reasons why. And so we have been working on a concept to create a facility that would be retail focused and retail friendly, and a place that you'll love to come and have lunch. So anyone would want to come and have a great quality meal in an environment where actually the real mission is not serving a great meal. That's kind of just the benefit.
Right.
The mission is to take 18 to 24-year-olds who are not working and to be able to provide an intensive 10-week on-site, Monday through Friday, full-time experience of meeting folks where they are in small cohorts of 12 at a time, so very intimate, with a team of social workers, to take them through a program where there's a self-actualization. Who am I? What am I? How do I interact with myself and my family, my surroundings? How do I interact with the world at large? And then as we build self-confidence and start with a series of very intentional experiences over the first half of the training, first 5 weeks, then we start taking those experiences and apply them to the workplace as they come. We have an upstairs downstairs facility down on the JSU Parkway, the old Koinonia coffee house, which will be called Refill Cafe. You train upstairs during the first 5 weeks, and then you start coming downstairs to the restaurant, where we have a functioning restaurant, and you're shadowing and you're learning the process of working in an environment, and it just happens to be a restaurant. As Jordan Butler, our project leader, says, it could be anything. It could be a candle making factory, it could be a mechanic, it could be a yoga studio. We know restaurants, those of us that are involved, and plus we think restaurants are a place where there's a lot of interaction with the public. And so what we're trying to do is take this population of amazing young folks that for whatever reason have not been successful at getting or holding a job, and provide them an experience that over the course of 10 weeks, very intentionally, they end up somewhere where they've had the experience of working and applying personal skills, anger management, conflict resolution, all the stuff that maybe you and I learned because our parents checked us when we rolled, or our teachers did, or if we were lucky enough to go to college, that especially for us boys that have frontal lobe problems, that we don't quite understand things, that you're in an environment that intentionally protects you for the most part, as long as you don't go to fraternity, for 4 years. So our systems are so set up for support, but if you're not able to be in those systems, the support isn't there. So what we're trying to do is do something where we can do some triage work and help some folks move forward. And then the outcomes of that is that the real difference to our program, because there's so many wonderful workforce development programs in this market, the real difference is that we will follow our candidates after they graduate. We'll place them in the right place to be: a real job, a paid internship that we pay for, or schooling, or even another outcome that might be with another social services agency, if that's really where that person is at that time. And since we're dealing with a small population of folks in a very intimate way, I think we're going to make a big difference. So my point is, I have a very authentic story, and I started this by telling you about kind of the disenfranchisement I had. Right. Stranger in a strange land, Jeff Spicoli in the land of the South, what the heck? And I failed a number of times. And the only reason I was able to keep going is because I had a great partner, both in business and at home. I had competence. I was able to, we don't sell schlock. I mean, what we do here is pretty good.
Yeah.
And so I had that benefit of having a good product to sell. And I am wired super, super tight. Yeah. I'm a little spring that is, it's the internal, sitting here with you right now, it's just like
you get so excited, but what I love about it, I'm almost in tears because you have a group of people who have no hope. They don't know what they're going to do. They don't know where they're going. They don't really have, a lot of us have our lives mapped out what we kind of want. And like you say, those failures lead you to success. You have to have failures in something that you do to lead you to success. Yes. Whether it's a ball game that you lose or a love that you lose or whatever, yep. To have success and really, really be able to make a difference. I can't even imagine the lives that you're about to change.
I hope so. And it's really important that I don't deem any of the members that we're going to work with, our these amazing folks, as being failures. I think that we're going to meet folks where they are. We're going to bring them forward. The failures in their life help define and inform who they are.
Correct.
They themselves will not be failures. And the best part is, the best way for your viewership to be able to support us is to come eat with us. And we're looking at a late summer opening the restaurant, hopefully fully functioning by the September timeframe. So it'll be a place where it'll be a lovely, and the transformation of the building, it is amazing, the plans we have. And assuming that all the braiding of the funding we have comes together, which it is, this will be an amazing thing. So that kind of takes you from Bravo, which was the first thing that I've done as an adult in this market, to at 29 years old, to 55 years old, and kind of this what I hope will be a legacy work. And again, this is me reflecting the skill sets of others that are involved. I just have the benefit of being able to sit here and talk to someone like you about it.
That's awesome, and I put the link on there on this. Do you have a Facebook page?
We do. So you can look up Refill Cafe,
okay.
And it'll pop right up, and you'll be able to follow us along and see some renderings of the building. And then, of course, you put your website on there, Refill Cafe Jackson. So we're real excited about it.
And we'll do another vlog when y'all start to open.
Yeah, about it. You'll want to come down and take a look.
Absolutely, we will. We love that.
Yeah, that's a chance for Emily and Jordan to be involved.
Oh yeah.
With you, you'll get me off the camera, but put the real talent on.
The best thing I love about doing these stories on people that I admire, and I want everybody else to see what they're doing. You look at such success, and it looks like it happened overnight, and it didn't. Number one, and number two, I'm always surprised. I had no idea about this. The Refill Jackson.
I wanted to surprise you.
It was a surprise, and I love that.
You thought we were going to talk about focaccia bread.
Absolutely love bread. You continue to bring what Jackson needs, because that's a love of yours. Yes. The economic development and the tourism. You've gotten so many awards. If you've not looked up Jeff Good at what you've done, the good that you've done.
I'm a good press agent.
I mean, yes, you do. Really, I read it. It was awesome. It amazes me. And so when I see people like you in our communities, I want people outside of our South to see what we have and what we offer.
I appreciate this opportunity on your platform to be able to share the story. So bottom line, I'm a restaurateur. My partner and I, we have Bravo Italian Restaurant in Highland Village. Here comes a commercial, folks. You ready?
And
Bravo Italian Restaurant in Highland Village, where we are right now. Upscale Italian restaurant serving delightful regional Italian cuisine. You'll love it. Open every day of the week except for Monday. Broadstreet Baking Company, our second child, opened 21 years ago. Broadstreet is named after the street in Trenton, New Jersey, in which the Blumenthal Bakery was located. Dan's grandfather was a second-generation baker. Dan's great-grandfather was a Jewish immigrant from Eastern Europe through Ellis Isle.
Wow.
And so he taught his son how to bake, and then that was Barney, and Barney taught Saul, not Sal from Sal and Mookie, Saul Blumenthal and his wife Deborah opened the Blumenthal Bakery in Trenton, New Jersey. And so when we came up with this idea for a bakery in Jackson, Dan really wanted to make sure that it paid homage to his family lineage. So when you go to Broadstreet, all those pictures of the old man, he's not fictitious. That's Dan's grandfather.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and there's playing Where's Waldo again. Dan's father, as a child, is in one of those pictures. So we'll let the audience figure out where Dr. Buddy Blumenthal is.
And if I'm not mistaken, I've seen some king cakes all over Facebook.
We are king cake central for this town. We're very blessed. Jennifer Lancaster, our pastry chef, 7 years ago, really helped to take Danny Mitchell, when Danny used to work with Danny Turk, who has For Heaven's Cakes, which is a fantastic bakery. She started us with king cakes. Jennifer was able to really kind of standardize it and get to a point where we could do production. So we'll sell about 4,000 king cakes this carnival season.
Wow.
It is a over the moon incredible opportunity for us, and we love it. And the almond pastry cream is showing around my midsection right now. I got a muffin top going on.
I'm gonna have to go get one. I've never had one.
So Broadstreet's a retail bakery delicatessen. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week, short order, plus all these wonderful baked goods and breads. And those breads are used for other restaurants as well. So when you get a basket of focaccia bread here, that came from Broadstreet. When you go over to Sal and Mookie's, our third restaurant, which opened 11 years ago, New York style pizzeria and ice cream place in the middle of Fondren, the heart of Fondren.
Delicious.
Family concept, a lot of fun. Ice cream shop in the middle of a large restaurant, huge 18-inch New York style pies. Over there, we're doing gluten-free crust that we make ourselves, and we're doing the ciabatta bread and the focaccia bread and the hamburger buns and the po' boy buns that you'll find there. So we're kind of an inside job. We do all these things ourselves. We make food from scratch. We have about 185 people on staff right now, full and part-time. Between that and our catering division, Avon Whittington, who does an amazing job, and I know you've done some parties with us before. Just really fortunate to do what we do.
Well, I love what you bring to the city. I love where you're going with it.
Thanks.
I love that you said a few minutes ago you want to leave a legacy, and you already have, even before this, in my opinion.
Thank you.
And that's all that matters because it's my blog today. But you have. I mean, I can't imagine the sacrifices that your family makes.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you the attitude, the positive attitude that you have. I will be on Facebook and I'll be scrolling, and you'll have to close the restaurant for 2 hours because there's no water.
There's no water. Yeah.
And it's not a fuss. It's not a gripe. It's a, hey, this is what's happening. We'll let you know when we open. And for you to stick with Jackson and to stick with what you're doing here, it says a lot about who you are, number one, and your vision back 20-something years ago to make this what you wanted it. So
well, we could have put Sal and Mookie's, quite frankly, the Highland County Parkway was being built out at that point, and Dogwood had just been open when we were looking at it. We could have done that. We purposely and intentionally wanted to do something that was a family concept in Fondren because we wanted to help round out and jumpstart that. So if you really think about the offerings between Brent's and ourselves, we're the two, and Campbell's Bakery, we're kind of the triangle of family-friendly concepts there.
Right.
And that's part of, everybody thinks of Fondren is the cool place for you to go hang out and have wine, and that's part of what Fondren is, and art gallery walks and the like. But if we want to truly build community, there is no them, there is no other, it's us. Right. We are those that need to take responsibility for our future. So, I mean, I've just been really fortunate. Jackson's been really, really good to us. And so, it would be disgenuine not to be engaged. And does it stink sometimes? Oh yeah. I mean, it is, when you turn the faucet on, the water's not working, it's maddening. And it really hurts the entire organization. But it's where we are right now, and hopefully just staying engaged, staying in community, keep on going, one day at a time.
Main thing is your positive attitude.
Well, I mean, so what if I was a real jerk about the whole thing? If I took on a sour attitude, I wouldn't be sitting here with you because I just have a heart attack.
That's right.
The stress levels are just, in this business, are just over the top, and the way I'm able to do it is I just try to always, Dan calls me a Pollyanna. I'm always affixing myself on what's next. I just can't live in the past. You
have to live in the precious present. Well, y'all, we thank y'all for watching. We hope that you will go and look. Jeff has a page. It's public. It's a personality page, I guess you could say.
I really need to post more on my personality page. I spend all my time on my private page.
You really do.
I really do. I need to be more like you.
You can do both.
Yeah.
You can do both. You can actually have it sent to each. I'll teach you how to do that.
Mark Zuckerberg, if you're listening, if you just released the 5,000 person limit on the personal Facebook page, everything will be okay.
I've hit 5,000 like 17 times, and I just knock them off if they're not active on Facebook. I'm the same way. I had to do a personal page too. I mean, a public page too to share, but I do share a lot, and it helps. But y'all go check his public page out. You can see all that he's doing. There's several websites on there. He does post on there. Go check out what he's doing. Support Jackson. Listen, I live in Madison, but I shop in Jackson.
Yep.
I eat in Jackson, just like I do all around I call it a Metroplex.
Absolutely.
Because my family lived in Dallas for 30 years, and so that's what they call
Well,
it, the
wouldn't we be
Metroplex.
fortunate to have a Metroplex in Central Mississippi? So by
Yes.
working together,
Yes.
we can make things happen. I have a moniker that a lot of people make fun of me for saying, but I coined this, and I'm going to keep it. Working together works.
Working together works.
So let's keep working together. Deal?
Thank you so much.
My pleasure,
Listen,
Cindy.
thank y'all for joining us today. We couldn't do this without our sponsors. I have not been speechless in one of these vlogs, but a few minutes ago when you were talking about the cafe, I kind of, it brings emotion to me because I want to be a part. I want to help you do what you can do. If that's doing vlogs, if that's sharing on my pages, whatever. Around the Town of the South is here for y'all.
Thank you.
Utilize this whenever you can. If you want us to post something about it, don't hesitate. We will. Same thing on my personal pages.
You're
We want to
sweet.
see this succeed.
Thank
It's not
you.
about being sweet. It's about being us.
I appreciate that very
So,
much.
y'all, thank y'all for BMARKETED. Thank you for Kim Goodson, Crye-Leike Realtors, Northpark Mall, Ridgeland, Mississippi, and Village Boutique in Madison. We couldn't do this without our sponsors. Check their places out. They've got lots of things going on. All their information is in the description, as well as Jeff's. If you have any questions, Jeff does have an email address on Jeff Good personality page. He will answer them all, won't you?
Wow. We just did that, didn't we? JeffG@BravoBuzz.com.
Jeff G. Y'all, thank y'all for joining us, and we'll see you around the town.